Sustainability (ESG) in Botswana and beyond. Now, the event brings together thought leaders and policymakers to share insights on shaping a resilient, inclusive and sustainable future. This interview explores the event's potential to advance sustainable practices in Botswana and contribute to a more resilient future. Now, in studio, I'm joined by Lindiwe, Modise, the Managing Director, Green Loop, and Suzan Thulo, Executive Director, Green Loop Foundation. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on Botswana Television.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
All right. Now, let's start the conversation by understanding. I believe that this is the third time you are hosting this event. Take us back to the how is the reception in Botswana, especially, and if you managed to achieve some other goals that you did set in the previous conventions.
All right. So we've been in business for 6 years as Green Loop, and Botswana Sustainability Week is our baby. That we have brought to Botswana to say, let's educate Botswana and internationals about where Botswana is currently when it comes to issues of environmental social governance, also known as ESG. And we started this journey 2 years ago. This is our third. And we've been endorsed in each and every one of the events by the government of Botswana through the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. Our objective was, or mandate was, to try and enhance understanding, especially from leaders in the political space, in the public space, and also in the private space, importance ya go tlhokomela tikologo le banni ba tikologo ke eng. So what we do during this event is just to unpack the ABCs of ESG and sustainability, because people normally interchange mahoko ESG and sustainability, but they differ. You need ESG strategies, the framework for you to become sustainable, to maintain your sustenance in the world. So we also partner with a lot of private sector. Sectors that really understand what we're talking about immediately ke finance ka gore batho ba tlhokang gore o disclose kana o bolelle batho ba tlisang madi gore o tlhokomela tikologang le banni ba tikologo, it's investors. So people that bring money to the country is the financial sector. So it's been a step-by-step growing baby. Last year we saw a lot of progress as opposed to the first year. First year, I think we attracted 90 attendants. Last year, we went to 450, including international. So this year, we're actually seeing leaders come, CEOs and board chairs, Batlabari, Lindiwe, what are you guys bringing this year? So it's kind of profound, and would like to see what people have to say this year.
That's incredible. We'll look forward to that one. But I'm interested in what you said earlier on about, the to encourage or to get to those who are making policies and everything, but coming to you on the very same breath. I want to understand, do Botswana understand about the policies and their contribution to taking care of the environment and what it takes for them to take care of the environment? Because at the end of the day, if we don't, we are the ones who are suffering from it.
Yes, I would say that some do, some still need to be capacitated. And that's whereby, as the foundation, we come in as the non-profit arm of the Green Loop. Because one of our mandate is capacity building through research, through education. So this event that we're going to be, it's part of our program. It's part of us going to say, let's capacitate the nation on the issues of ESG, on the issues of environment, for us to get there where we want to be sustainably. Thank you.
Let's talk about the policy. Do we have enough, or do we have to encourage those who are in the legislature to make sure that at the end of the day we have got policies in black and white that holds people accountable? You earlier on talked about investors who are coming into the country maybe to do businesses, their responsibility and what can come if they don't take care of the environment that they use, or the people staying in that environment.
Yeah, I like that question because we do highlight it every year when we come to BTV. We do have a baseline as Botswana, Environmental Act, which governs us to protect the environment, the communities. And then we also have the climate change policy. That also helps us to understand how we work global warming, and both these legislative tools sit under the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. If we do remember as well, during the budget speech this year, the Vice President did mention, or under his capacity as the Minister of Finance, he mentioned that there's an upcoming national ESG strategy. Because a lot of private sector, technical, we know what's going on ground. A lot of companies are not implementing the ESG principles because they feel like law that specifically enforces them to incorporate this into their budgets. So now when the government enforces that principle, it also attracts us to a lot of green financing. I think we see we're in an economic crisis, and the Minister of Finance does mention we're getting some green assistance in terms of funding, and the more we can get more if we have a better structure from a national level. So when we have that tool, it will help now everyone. So we do have legislation in place, just that it needs to be enforced, and we need one that talks directly now to investment.
You're talking about the enforcement of the law, that at the end of the day, even though it's in black and white, without being enforced, it doesn't serve any purpose. Coming back to you, you're saying you are also a non-profit making arm of the whole Green Loop. But you can give us more of your objectives in making sure that everything that the Green Loop stands for is being enforced, and it dispersed to your stakeholders or even the community that we operate in.
Okay, as the foundation, like I said before when I talked, our mandate is to enhance ESG principles through education, through capacity building, through research, and through youth empowerment and innovative initiatives that we do. So the event that you're going to do, if I got your question well, can you please rephrase it again?
Your mandate or some of the objectives, despite just educating the public about this, to make sure that at the end of the day, what Green Loop stands for is coming into fruition. Oh
yes, it is. The event that you're going to hold, it really goes to our mandate because it neutralizes the platform, which brings about the government, which brings about the stakeholders, which brings about the businesses, and we took it away purposely from the Green Loop and taking it into the Green Loop Foundation because we wanted to set a baseline that this is going to be national conventions, which ultimately are going to lead into regional. And what we're trying to drive to be policy advocates in this space of sustainability, environmental protection. So our mandate as the foundation, we push it through this sustainability week. Because if you can see the stakeholders that are going to be there, you said the government, you talked about businesses, we talk about innovators, we talk about the youth that is going to be there. So we are going to say conversations do not end there. Then we should be impactful in the future because policymakers are going to be in the room. So our mandate through this, we can say that we are really achieving our mandate as the foundation. That's incredible. Now coming back to you, Lindiwe, you are talking about, with everything that is happening in the world, you chose to focus on environment, governance and sustainability. Why should Botswana be acknowledged about ESGs and everything around it?
Where would we be and the communities? So it's important for us to look at this because we cannot operate as businesses and as a country without taking care of what we're destroying. I'll give an example of a mine. Imagine if we mined the whole of Botswana. Would you have a place to farm? Would you have a place to build a house? So it's just to be cautious. Let us operate and also be cautious. Or what impacts do we have on our internal operations, being your critical stakeholders are employees, and also how to operate that. What impacts do you have on your outside stakeholders? We call them external stakeholders. So a lot of companies and countries have been reluctant towards this ESG phenomena, but it's always been there. I always say our grandparents used to recycle mayonnaise bottles. There are a lot of things that we used to do that our grandparents used to do, but now we're becoming modern and forgetting how to sustain while we become more modern or innovative. So it's just a matter of saying we can make profit as profit-making companies, but let's be cautious about it and let's set aside a budget. CSR projects that you see happening in Botswana a lot, we are creating Botswana to be dependent. You take pads, you take food every Christmas, but are you coming to leave initiatives or invest in initiatives to get Botswana to be independent? Have you taught those young minds to sustain themselves? Right now we've got such issues going on. So it's just a matter of us creating a different culture and stop being a dependent nation. And that also talks to the S, which is the social of ESG.
All right. I'm interested in the very same thought that she is carrying about, turning this into maybe a business and making sure that we can recycle, we can still continue and merge it with the technology that we live in right now. How do we do that? Because I understand some people are like, well, we are living in a new world technology now. We don't need to recycle the bottles that she was talking about. How do we take the technology that is there and making sure that we still protect our environment, we still recycle and even make business out of this?
Okay. It's okay.
Maybe you can take that.
I think it's quite technical, right? Because it's she comes from a more non-profit arm
I was
research.
about to say,
Right. So it's a matter of what you were saying initially, Abuakore. It's about education, right? And also looking at the baseline as a country, what kind of waste do we produce? And also sorting from source. From at the landfill. So this also starts from teaching kids from grassroots, from nursery. Only green prefects or trash prefects. And with innovation also, you need to look at what capacity you have as a country. If we were to recycle, do we even have resources, right, and electricity to power a recycling plant? Probably not. And we are aware of some plants that have been trying to set up. I think there's one in Kanye, a paper recycling plant. It took a long time for the utility corporations to assign them because of the amount of resources they would be pulling from the communities around. And innovation also talks to maybe, I'll give you one. Glass has a component of sand when it's being made. How a crusher, it converts back to that. So in countries like the UK and Canada and Australia, glass can be used to develop sustainable roads, right? So I'm giving you just an example. Paper can be recycled to make sustainable, reusable brown packaging that we used to sell before as Green Loop manufacturer in South Africa. So there's so many other elements that you can take waste and reinvent it into a new product. Plastic, there are also plastic roads that are being piloted in South Africa and in the UK, and they've seemed to be successful.
Also, she said something about, taking it to the grassroots. I want to understand your role from that perspective. Why should we start from there, from the very beginning? To recycle. Something very important, because not even to separate. Why is it important to understand how we deal with this from the grassroots growing up? And your role maybe in ensuring that at the end of the day,
remember that when you are taught things at a very young age, it's very important and it's easy for me to impact knowledge into a young age. Remember, children learn from us as adults. They redo what we do. So if you teach, like she was saying from the business perspective, how she puts it, if you teach a child at a young age how to convert this matakala and come into business, imagine if they grow up with that mentality from the age of their youth into when they are old. What impact would they have brought into our economy with that mentality only? Capacitating young children, they grow with that, and they ultimately become something into the environment of Botswana, transforming the economy, because that's what we want. As the foundation, like I told you, that we do a lot of capacitating youths. We have mentorships where we attract entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. We capacitate them in terms of ESG, in terms of how their business can be sustainable. So if we teach them from early age of primary, from early ages when they're still at crèche, and they grow with that mentality, we can be far as a country and reaching the vision that we want to reach, maybe vision 2036.
That's incredible. She said something also about capacitating those who might look at this because Botswana is talking about diversifying from diamonds that we're seeing is they're not making money right now, so we need to diversify the economy. We also have to have value chain development within the businesses that we do. We're talking about matlakala and business. How do we capacitate young minds who come with these innovations to plastic? Is something that young minds right now are listening economy because they can see value chain development in that.
Yeah.
How do we, as stakeholders or the government, tap into that market to reset the economy?
Yeah, it's very important to understand where you are, like I said earlier, as baseline. Sometimes because we have a very small population, it might not make sense for us to start developing recycling plants in Botswana, right? Because you would wonder, how many population are you producing enough waste to maintain that recycling plant? And also, you need to look at maybe the gaps that you have. I mentioned roads because we do not have sustainable roads, and I'm sure the government spends a lot, right? And because it's something that has never been done in Botswana, it's only right maybe for someone to do a research and maybe go benchmark in countries that have done it before, but also go and partner with the government, probably through the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, because that's a solution or green alternative business solution that would be mandated to that ministry, and they can partner with you to go to international organizations, and also trying to just see if it's been a success in other countries. We look at gaps as well. What else do we need in Botswana? And when people think sustainability in ESG, the first thing we think is solar.
Yeah.
And the second thing we think is matlakala. But what about education? Education is key, because you can't do anything without education. And a more ESG, the 3 pillars, environmental, social, governance, education falls into S.
Yeah.
And without it, you cannot support the environment, nor can you get a person to understand governance. So it's very important, like right now, as the business, we are struggling or for having a challenge in capacitating elderly people. It's very important for you to teach someone your kids that go to schools that say, do not let us say, Dad, don't do that.
Right.
And then you stop.
Unfortunately, we have run clean of time. We've got a minute to wrap up this conversation, but I would wanted us to get into the, the conversation that is coming. You can give us, the insights. What should we expect at the third one? Both of you can just tap onto that one as we wrap up.
The theme for this year is enhancing sustainable practices in Africa, and that changes here. We have a new government. We want to leave no one behind. So we're looking to continue discussions with public, private, policymakers, leaders to say, where are we right now? We've been in these engagements for the past 3 years. Can we be accountable? Can we have high-level discussions? And we encourage a lot of local and international stakeholders to chime into the discussion for change and to enhance Botswana.
Right. Now your last words. What should we expect? Yeah.
Our message is clear as the Green Loop Foundation. Change is here. We have to act now.
All right.
We are calling upon the stakeholders to attend, not just to be there, but to be willing to collaborate, to be willing to bring change for the Botswana that we want.
To be willing to bring change to the Botswana that we want. And that is your last message. Thank you so much, ladies, for such insights. I believe we will be there. All right. And that is how we come to the end of this conversation. I'm coming right back with the 3 o'clock news.